Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth 3ds Max Beginner's Guide video, and today we're going to create a basic lamp mesh. We're going to start out by just creating a box right in the center of our grid, then we'll raise it up a little bit. I'll maximize this viewport by pressing Alt+W, and then I'll turn my bounding box display off by pressing J. That's these little white lines. I'll increase the height a little bit, and I'll set it to 2020 and 2. It's good enough. And now I'll add an edit poly on top of it. So now with edit poly, the first thing I want to do is inset this bottom face. Can inset it about that much, like 1.9-ish. And then I'll just extrude upwards. Once I'm at about a height where I like, I'm going to delete this top face. So now I have an open edge loop. I'll switch to border mode and then go to scale. And I want to scale on XY while holding shift. And then select this loop and scale it outwards. So now we have the lamp kind of scaling up a little bit. Maybe make it a bit taller. Now I'll go back to border mode. So I have this outside border selected. Going to shift drag it up. And then I can use Swift Loop to add a loop about right there. Turn Swift Loop off. Go back to border mode and then scale this inwards. Out like that. Maybe bring it down some. And then I'll use cap. Now we can chamfer some of these edges to get them looking a bit better. Select those guys there. Come over to chamfer. I'll turn smooth off so I can see what I'm doing a bit better. I'm going to use quad chamfer. Add a few more segments. It's pretty good. I'll hit OK. I come down to the bottom and do these. Now you'll notice I'm not doing the other side, and there's a reason for that, which we'll see in a minute. I'll do chamfer again. And I'll keep about the same tension, but I'll decrease my chamfer amount. And now, since I already have this half of the model done and all the edges chamfered, I can go ahead and use the symmetry modifier to take care of the other half. So switching to Y and then hitting flip, now I have those on the other sides as well. I'll change the color of this object so we can see it a bit better. And now I want to create a box with auto grid on top. This is going to be a little hook. And actually, we can add a little platform on top of this guy. So if we can add an edit poly on top, select these two, inset them by group. Maybe right there. Extrude them up. Select all those corners. I didn't use ring because I didn't want the center selected. Go to chamfer again, quad chamfer. Put the tension to about half. And hit OK. Come back to this object, and I want to turn snap on, and my snaps are currently vertex and midpoint. You can quickly choose what snaps you want to use if you hold shift and right click anywhere. So we can quickly turn these on right there without having to come all the way up here just to right click that. I just want to center this to this object, so I'm using the midpoint snap for this. And now I can add some height segments and width segments. I actually want this to be square. So we can go with probably 5 and 5. That's a bit tall. Let's go with 3.5 and 3.5, and then the length to be a little bit thinner, 1.25. It should actually be all right. And instead of using the segments, I'll go ahead and get rid of those. I'll throw Edit Poly on here. And since we can't see this bottom face, I'm just going to get rid of it so I don't have to deal with it right now. Going to make a selection on Edge Mode. And now I can use Connect. I'm going to do 2 segments. I'm going to pinch them so they're to the edges. Maybe about 65. Then I'll select the other way. Go to Connect again. And then just hit OK. Now I don't want this bottom loop here, so I'll just select it by double-clicking on it. And that will perform a loop. Or I can just select one edge and hit loop. I'm going to hit Control Backspace to remove it and get rid of the vertices. Now I can delete these 2 faces and select these guys and hit Bridge. So now we have some geometry here. If the lamp keeps getting in my way, I can just hit Control Q, and that's going to isolate my selection. Change this thing's color. So now I just need to chamfer these. I'll add a symmetry and then mirror it on the y-axis. I'll add another Edit Poly, and that's what I'll use to chamfer. I'll select these guys. And I'll turn Show End Results off. I don't want to see that right now. Can select these guys, hit chamfer, select my quad chamfer, pull the chamfer amount down quite a bit, adjust my tension, my segments, hit OK. And now when we go up to symmetry, we're chamfered on both sides. Now I forgot to chamfer this edge here. And since chamfer was such an easy thing to do, and the chamfer is only stored in this Edit Poly, I can just delete it and then redo that chamfer. Now I can just hit the chamfer button again, reset these values really quick, hit apply, and then once symmetry's on, we're good to go. Press Alt+Q to unisolate. Now we have a pretty good lamp going on here. I want to inset these sides here so it looks like that's where the glass pane is. So I'll just add another Edit Poly, turn edge faces on, go into face mode. I can just select all these faces, hit inset. And by polygon isn't going to work here. So what I can do instead is on this Edit Poly, when I symmetried it, I got this line down the middle. That's from the symmetry. So I can double click that loop and just hit Control Backspace. And now I can use inset on a by polygon basis and it'll work fine. So now with a little bit of an inset, and then I can go to extrude. I want to extrude inward. And I want to use local normal here. Keep extruding inward. Don't want the glass. I need to watch the corners. I want to make sure that those don't kind of collide with each other. Hit OK. There we go. Now the next thing I want to add is a ring through this little hook here that we can use to attach it to something. So I can do that with just a circle spline. And for that, I'll come into my top view. And I just hit F3 to toggle wireframe. And what I want to do is select the lamp and attach my little hook. And now I want to center it in the scene by just right-clicking on these transforms down here. Come into my top view. Use a circle. Then with that circle, we can rotate it upwards. I'll hit A to turn on angle snaps. That right here. And I'll turn rendering on, enable in viewport. Maybe give that a little bit more thickness. Position it like it's being held. Just center right there. And that's how we can very quickly make a lamp. I'll do one more edit poly and I'll attach the ring. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little modeling tutorial. I hope you learned a lot for it. Thanks for watching. If you guys can support me on Patreon, do it up. Have a good one.